Hello. Hi, Neha. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me share my desktop. Can you see my desktop?
It's coming up.
Okay.
I can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So, Neha, you are looking for SAP Basis classes?
Yes.
Okay. Um, okay. So, if you see here, you can see this is the SAP Basis syllabus,
Hmm.
and may I know you have any knowledge on the SAP background, like any module knowledge in the
Um,
SAP?
no, my husband, he works in the warehouse management and MM, and
Okay.
that's how I know SAP. And I have few friends that work in different SAP modules, and somehow I thought Basis sounded interesting, so I thought maybe something to check out.
Yeah, that's good. So, so here I'm gonna start in the syllabus from the beginning, like the introduction to the SAP, SAP R3, and to the SAP Enterprise, and then architecture, and then the system landscape and flow installation process, and after that, all the day-to-day activities, configurations of as a basis consultant. So this will be taking you to all the contents that we're gonna discuss in the coming classes.
Hmm.
So basically, Basis is the SAP administration job.
Okay.
So the Basis consultants, they manage the SAP systems locally and remotely, and the SAP complete infrastructure. They're gonna, you know, build. They're gonna support. They're gonna monitor. They're gonna do the backups and everything.
Hmm.
So in SAP, for the basis consultants, we have two platforms generally. One is SAP ABAP and SAP Java. So in SAP, we have two different platform applications. So um, as of today, but going further, it may be in a one, because currently SAP has applications developed in ABAP and applications developed in Java.
Okay.
So in the you know um, but the system will be remain, it will be the same system that supports ABAP applications and as well as Java applications.
Mhm.
But during the administration, both the interfaces are different, both the concepts are different.
Mhm.
So here, all these concepts, again, we will be all this is all about ABAP administration, and at last I just mentioned the NetWeaver administration too for Java. Actually, this is for
Okay. Okay. So what we are going to talk about is all ABAP. So ABAP,
ABAP
as
and
much as
then
I
Java.
know, is the language, right?
Yeah, it is a language where applications or programs can be developed.
Mm-hmm.
So in SAP, you have applications, several applications like FICO, or you know, sales and distribution, and
Mm-hmm.
a PM, like different modules are there. So
Okay.
these modules, they basically develop from a programming platform,
Okay.
from a programming language. So SAP by default, it started developing these applications in the ABAP program, in the ABAP programming. But some of the NetWeaver applications initially started with the Java programming, because web programs during that time it was not supporting some of the services where some of the you know internet services or some of the functionalities compared to Java, because Java is an open source. It has all the it will support everything.
Okay.
So that's why they started on the Java platform, and later they integrated with the SAP app, and they made now Java as part of the SAP.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all concepts I will be covering in the introduction. So in general, there are interaction in that SAP R3, which is a previous SAP system, and SAP ECC is a current SAP system, the version.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier we don't have the NetViewer in the SAP R3, but in the SAP ECC 6.0, the SAP started with the NetViewer platform. The difference we can discuss, and so as I told you, SAP, it is SAP R3. The last version of the SAP R3 is SAP R3 4.7. But my students, with the other students, when I'm discussing, they still say, they said that they are still fine. They have the SAP R3 4.7 in their company. Like one or two students said recently. So it means some of the companies, they're still using SAP R3 4.7.
Mm-hmm.
So which is a very old system.
Okay.
And some companies may not upgrade it to the latest one. It doesn't matter, because SAP has stopped supporting this SAP R3 system, because if they found any issues, with some exemptions, maybe SAP might be supporting, but officially it has stopped. They recommend to go for SAP ECC 6.0
Mm-hmm.
to upgrade their system to SAP ECC 6.0. So this SAP is a ERP software, and ERP software it's a all ERP softwares. It's a software which helps to integrate the data processing of various modules under one common platform in an organization. So enterprise resource planning is the type of softwares available in the market. It's a business management software. Like SAP is one among them. So let me yeah. See, if you see here, SAP provides a wide ranging set of solutions for specific industries. So such as utilities, retail, oil and gas, aerospace, mining, etc. It is providing solutions for different types of industries. Because the ECC 6.0, which is called as Enterprise Core Components, this software from the SAP, it provides the core solutions for running the enterprise business processes in financial, logistics, and human resources. Almost all the companies will have to go for, they need to have the financial, logistics, and human resources. And they have separate modules in the SAP system, like a module for oil and gas. And other modules are applicable for all the systems, for all the industry types. So this is the importance of SAP when we compare with the other vendors, like other ERP vendors from Oracle, from Microsoft, from PeopleSoft, Bond, JD Edwards. So they have limited applications. But whereas in SAP, we can find a huge set of applications. So that is why SAP is been configuring in small companies to very large companies. And SAP functionality and its product available for small business units to the large business units. Here you can see based on the functionality and based on the company size or company requirements, the software is designed in such a way that which can be available for a small company to a large company. So earlier there was a talk that SAP, to go for SAP implementation, it is very expensive. But nowadays SAP is available for a small business units to large business units, because SAP basically it depends on the SAP cost. Basically it depends on the number of users in the company, and then that's the main cost area, and later software and hardware cost. Is that it? So if you see here in SAP R3, I mean the previous SAP system, for even today's SAP system as well. So these are the application modules which are available or which are integrated by default into a single system. When we install SAP R3 or SAP ECC 6.0, we get this huge set of applications by default in the system. So in the ECC 6.0, close to 28 to 30 applications we can have on that in the SAP Enterprise system. So most of the applications which are developed in ABAP programming language, and this ABAP language is a part of it, is a native language for SAP, because this language is built by SAP. It is not an open source. Mm-hmm. Whereas Java is an open source that anybody can use that.
Right.
And here you can see these are the applications, like some of the applications here it is mentioned. And these applications are, they're all by default. It comes along with the SAP installation. But for some applications, you have to enable some settings in order to start working with those applications. For some applications, it is readily available. So it is R3 real-time data processing for in 3-tier architecture. It is a client-server architecture base, and it is developed, all those applications developed in ABAP. And if you see here, the systems, the SAP system it contains 3 components in general. So database component, application server component, and presentation component. So presentation component is a SAP client where users are part of the presentation component, because they send the request and they get the output. They get the presentation screens on their desktops. And database is the system where all the storage happens. And the application system, you may find more than one here, because to allow more number of users, we may keep adding these application servers, and it will go up to 100. Here it is, minimum is 1 and a maximum is 100. And all these 0 to 99 application servers will connect to the same database, which is an active database. The reason for increasing these application servers is to allow more number of users, and to have the redundancy, load balancing, because these application servers will process the user request. Users are not supposed to access database directly, whereas user will send always a request to the application server, and this application server will accept the user request and will query to the database to read or to write the data, the SAP data. So this is how these systems are installed in the companies. Like central system is a standalone system where you find database, application and presentation on a single system. It is installed on a single system. Whereas in the two-tier configuration, database and application is installed on one system, and the users will connect to this application server or the network to log in and to access the SAP system. And similarly, you can find three system configuration, where database is separately an individual server, and which has a host name or IP address, which will communicate the other application servers or the network. And these application servers in turn again, they have their own host name and IP address, and where users will connect to these application servers, because these are all communication happens in the networking. They are all interconnected through within the network, in the company's network, or in the public network with some VPN connectivity. So this is in general we find in the company. They have a database server, an application server, one or more application servers, it depends, and then users who are connecting to these application servers. And there are types of users like web-enabled users, people who are accessing the SAP system from the internet. So in the SAP R3, the previous SAP version in that system, the application system does not have the web functionality. That's why to accept web-enabled users, we need to build a web server, and we need to install ITS, Internet Transaction Service. This server allows the user connections from internet, and it will pass those connections to the application server. But in these days, the present version, it is when the application server has a new platform called NetWeaver platform in the ECC 6.0 onwards, and this NetWeaver platform provides the computing environment for applications which are developed in ABAP and applications which are developed in Java. And the application server, it also called as a web application server, because it includes web components where it can support directly internet users to connect to the SAP system, application system directly without this dependency, without ITS, because a web service is part of the SAP application server now, isn't it?
I'm trying to understand the internet transaction service.
Okay, that's an old concept actually. Okay. Nowadays we don't find that.
Oh, we don't use it anymore?
Right, because it's a previous system, right?
Okay.
It was available in the R3 system, but now almost all the companies are running with the ECC 6.0.
Okay, so then, like it says, the new web platform is NetWeaver. Okay.
Right, here you can see the to web enable the SAP applications, a web server and ITS server is needed. The web service and the services for the ITS can run on one server or on two dedicated systems. This you can divide into one system or two systems. The presentation in this configuration is provided by the internet browser. And the new web platform is the NetWeaver, which is available from the next version
Okay,
of
the
SAP
current.
R3. Yeah, the current one. In the current one, we don't have this ITS and web service separately, and we don't have those words. We directly go to the application server directly, and it has all the functionalities.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how it looks like. So users, they are connecting to the application server. That means in a simple language, they send an input and they expect an output from the application server.
Okay.
And the application server, in turn, they will send a request query to the database for reading and writing the data. And this will does only processing. It will not store any data.
Okay.
Whereas database has all the data storage. So whether you are having all these components in a single system installed or on 3 systems, doesn't matter. It follows the same rule. User will not go talk to database directly unless you logged in as a database user, but not through SAP client.
Okay.
So here, what I did means the importance of these database systems, application system. So there will be only one active database system in the SAP system. This SAP database contains all the data storage. It stores the SAP application data, user data, transaction data, company's data. And this database has a host ID, a host name, IP address, and a system ID, SID. SID is a 3-letter alphanumeric code assigned to the database during the database installation.
Okay.
So it is just an application ID, I can say.
Mm-hmm. It's identifier kind of.
Right. Okay. Database identifier. And in the application servers, so it is a front-end server for the end user, where all users will connect to this server and log on to the SAP system. So these servers does not store any data permanently, but it stores some data temporarily, which we call it as a buffers. So what type of temporary data? Suppose it has read some data from the database, so that whatever it has read some data, if any other user accessing that data, it will not contact to the database, it will directly fetch from that buffer. What I mean to say is, when you open a transaction in the SAP for the first time, it takes few milliseconds or some nanoseconds more time than it is when you are opening that the second time. Okay. So when I open this file, means it may take like 1 or 2 seconds to open it, because it has to contact the database and it has to open it. So when it contacts the database, it will get that file and it will store in the memory buffer of the application server. The second time when I trying to open the same file, it will first locate in the buffer if that file is available or not without any, if it is not modified, then only it will store in the buffer. If it is modified, then again it has to get a new file from the database. Isn't it?
Mm.
So memory buffer is something frequently accessed files, transactions, activities, screens. It will keep in the application buffer.
Okay.
It is not a permanent storage. Just it is keeping a frequently accessed locations of the database.
Okay. Okay.
So that is available in every software, in every system, not only with the SAP.
Mm-hmm.
So it contains some temporary data, and each application server will have a unique number assigned to it. As I told you, it will be from starting from 00 to 99. A application server will have 100 systems altogether. 100 application systems it will support, and it will connect those 100 application systems to the same database. The maximum number of application servers that I can install in a single SAP environment is 100. And each SAP application system will have a unique number. It is called as a instance, application instance number, that starts from 00 to 99. You can assign any number. And a SID, because SAP application, for every SAP application system, we even assign a SID during the installation, the system ID, similar to the database. And the SID for the database and SID for the application system may be same or may be different. Usually every company will have the same SID for database and application systems. Otherwise it will be confused. But so, it may not be same.
So what is the purpose of having different identifiers? See,
during the SAP application server, it will ask you what is the SAP application system SID. I'll give ABC.
Okay.
In the next page, it will ask you the database hostname and database SID. So if it is same, then you will use the ABC. If it is different, XYZ, then you will give XYZ. So application server is talking to the database with the host, with this host ID and with the SID. And those two details we have given during the installation. So as I'm already telling the application server, contact to this database and this database ID. So it depends, if it could be same of what application server is using, or it could be a different. Because we explicitly telling to the application server, this is your database. So it doesn't matter whether you use the same SID or a different SID. But all the application servers should use same SID. All the application servers should use same SID, but different instance number.
What is instance number?
So to differentiate from one application server to another application server, we use this 00 or 01, 02, like that, 99. Because no two application server will have the same instance. Like I cannot assign 00 to this server and 00 to this server both, isn't it?
Okay.
I need to have
to keep it
right. Right. And users, when they are logging into the application server on their client software, it is configured that connect to this application server. It has a 00 system ID and this is the SID. Like for example, if you see on my system, this is my SAP client.
Okay. Is this how you log in?
Right. Okay. So here I have a one connection. Here you can see this is a description. And this is the application server IP address.
Okay.
This is the SID. And this is the instance number.
So this SID is ECC. Is it the same for database also?
It may not be. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm doing here. See, users are connecting to the application server. It means user client should have the application server details only. Database may be the ID different. User is unaware of the, it is not required to know what is their database ID and host name.
Okay.
See, what I'm saying is you have first, you have first installed, for example, database, right? And you will start the SAP installation with the first application server. So during this application server installation, it will ask you what is your application server instance number you're gonna assign. You can assign any number 00 to 99. I will assign 11.
Okay.
Again, it will ask what is the SID that you want to use for this application server. I'll give ECC or ABC or anything, alphanumeric code, 3-letter code.
Okay.
In the next screen, it will ask you what is your database host. Okay, ABC, so and so is my database host. What is your database ID? It is asking. So it is not, it is not forcing you to use same SID for database and for application system.
Okay, it can be anything.
It can be different because you are explicitly telling in the initial configuration only integrate with this database which has a host name and SID.
Right.
And when you are installing the second application server, it will ask you what is your first application server host name. Means this application server, first one, it will ask. So that is because this first one will have some additional services, which we call it as a central instance. Okay, and these you will find in detail about this. And the other systems we call it as a dialog instance. Means dialog application instance. Instance means server, isn't it? So during the second application server installation, it will ask you what is your first application server. I'll show this host name. Okay, and accordingly you have to give the SID, application server SID, and then database host name, database SID, same. Like that, it will follow to the remaining all the application servers. So this is the basic structure of a SAP system. For a basis guy, we should know the functions of these three components. What is the purpose? What is the architecture of a database, application server, internal components as well. How the data is stored, what type of data is there, and what are the services in the application server. How it will execute a request. What happens when I send a print request? What happens when I schedule a job? What happens when I run a program which is taking 30 minutes to complete it? This kind of queries are there, which we will be covering in the first class onwards, because today I just took 30 minutes of time because I was running with other classes. So thought of taking this demo. Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for me?
No, that's what I wanted to know. So this was just the introduction that we talked about, right?
Just to know that what we are going to cover in the classes, in the coming classes.
Okay.
Yeah. And similarly, just to know how, what are the concepts that we're going to cover.
Right. So yeah, it looks like it's interesting, but it will be, it has its own terminology and it's
right. Initially, for first 3 classes, it will be theoretical because you need to know all the fundamentals of SAP and introduction. And after that, we will go to the practical session. Rest of all concepts are practical sessions only. I'll explain you what is this concept do, and practically I will show you. And we will, until we get an output, we will be working on that configurations. We have several configurations here.
okay.
See, SAP router setup, SAP load balancing between the applications, background processing, monitoring, and patches and kernel pool administration, transporting, integrating two or three applications, two or three different systems, not an application, different systems, SAP systems altogether. So there are many concepts which are very interesting here. When you understand the concept, you feel interesting, and when you do that practically, you can enjoy the course. Okay. Have any questions for me?
So this we can complete in how many weeks?
It will take 4 weeks for me.
4 weeks, and how many hours are we going to spend?
Every day, 1 hour we're gonna spend.
4 weeks, 1 hour
One.
every. And
Yeah. Monday to
like,
Friday usually, but sometimes I'll even take Saturday or Sunday, any one day if I feel if it is taking long, if it is not covering in 4 weeks, then I may take in between any 1 week or 2 weeks. I'll take 2-hour class because sometimes 1 or 2 classes may miss. So thought I can cover that in the weekend.
Okay. Yeah, so 4 weeks, and then what happens after 4 weeks?
You have to prepare your resume, and then our marketing team, you can contact them, and how what will be the next steps there, because I will be the only trainer, and after course, what like exactly what how you gonna be marketed, like placed, our team, they can tell you. You just go ask them how they're gonna proceed after the course, and what is the next plan. Isn't it?
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you were explaining it really well. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. So what is your experience? I mean, like, how long have you been?
500 batches in the SAP online batches, more than 500.
Oh, you have covered so far?
Yeah, I am there in this field in 2007 or 8. From there, I teach on SAP Basis and SAP PICO, SAP GRC, and SAP Securities.
Okay. What do you teach in GRC? Because I have heard about GRC also.
GRC is a governance and risk and compliance. That's a separate module.
Yeah. Because what I heard, I know my husband has been in SAP, so he shows me different things. So he told me, like, in GRC there are 3-4 different things. I mean, like, even that sounded interesting.
Yeah, it is all governance actually. Like how it is not the module like functional domain. It is a technical module, like how to protect the system. With what policies? Suppose an example, you're gonna give access to a user a HR module transaction access and a finance module transaction access. So how do that will be restricted? Whom do you contact it, and with whom do you check whether it is right or not in the company? So GRC consultants will say that, okay, giving access like that, it will be danger. Like a person cannot have like both the access like this. So this kind of compliance will be checked by the GRC application, and the GRC comes. In GRC, you have access configuration, risk management, like that, many concepts. So anytime when we do any configuration, our first approach, in the workflow task, one of the approval is GRC. So we have to get approval from them before we do the changes in the SAP.
Yeah. So there is also the concept of SAP security, right? I mean, like, is it like part of Basis or is it outside of Basis?
Generally, it was part of Basis earlier, but SAP started giving separate certification program for security and separate certification program for Basis. So earlier it was not there, but now both are different. Security and GRC is one combination,
Okay.
and basis is a vast subject
Okay.
because you will be managing in an SAP system. We have different system like SAP CRM, SAP supply chain management, SAP
Mm.
BI system, isn't it? So you'll have, it's a vast concept. Though there are some concepts which are common, some concepts which are
Mhm.
specific to that SAP system. It depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it is good to start with basis because basis is basically a fundamental, and a person who knows basis can easily learn any other module. Why?
Oh, really? Mm.
Yeah, because you know in and out of all the
Mm.
functions of SAP
Okay.
system.
Okay.
So MM is something you need to have a domain knowledge of material management, and then how to configure that in the SAP system is some all you gonna learn in the SAP.
Okay. Okay.
So like that
So,
we have several modules, not only MM, SD, finance and controlling, costing, like
okay.
that.
So I have to ask you one more thing.
Mhm.
My friends who are in Basis, they said Basis can be SAP can be on Windows, or it can be
Yeah,
Unix, or
yeah.
it can be different things. So what are we going to do this on?
All the training centers they use Windows.
Oh, Windows. Okay.
Almost all the training centers, because Unix is bit maintaining in the training centers, it's difficult.
Okay.
But there you see, most of the times we log into the SAP, but there are few things that we can do at the OS level, like checking the services,
Mm-hmm.
stopping and starting the services,
Mm-hmm.
managing some files at the OS level. These things we do at the OS level.
Mm-hmm. So for
So
that we will be using Windows.
yeah, for that we will be using Windows in our case.
Okay. Okay. So in
So
real world also,
do
is
you
it going to
know
be Windows?
Linux or Windows? Do you
No,
know Linux or Unix?
actually, like I have done some research, and that's how I know it.
Okay.
That's how I know. Plus, because of my friends, they keep telling me, because I've been looking into getting into something. So
Okay.
I didn't know what to get into. Everyone has their own opinion. But
So in general, very slow Linux. I take Linux generally classes, but that's a Red Hat Linux course also,
yeah.
because as a basis administrator we should be knowing, not initially, maybe in future you may have to learn Linux or or Unix, one platform.
Okay.
Okay. Windows, everybody knows Windows,
Right.
but Linux is something because in out for the first thing is in most of the companies the SAP is installed mostly on the Linux. The
Oh, okay.
Unix
So
Unix
I mean, like
is,
if I
yeah,
take the class in Windows, and if
nothing happened. No issues. That's what I'm saying. There are very limited dependencies. But
okay.
it what I mean to say is Linux is not a user friendly like Windows.
Okay.
So in Linux you need to know some basic things, like you can even check in the internet or YouTube as well, how to access the files, how to restart the services,
Mm-hmm.
how to install any software. These things you should be knowing, very minor things.
Okay.
Okay. So when you complete the course here, and how many you will understand how many times we enter at the OS level, for
Mm-hmm.
what,
Okay.
for what purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
based on that, those things, if you able to get that in the Linux environment, then it is more enough.
So as a basis, person, I have to work with database, and I have to work with the operating system, or no? Is it just strictly SAP?
See, most of the time you will be on SAP, and there are times where you need to know at OS side also and
Okay.
database side. And database SAP backend, you have it could be Oracle or DB2 or SQL database. But
Okay.
SAP has provided its own tools to access and manage the database. That is called BR tools.
Okay.
Okay. These tools developed in SAP.
Oh, okay. So we can use
So
that one to
these
access.
tools, either it could be in the backend, it could be a Oracle or SQL or data DB2, doesn't matter, because we will be using these tools.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm meant to start another class actually.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. And just check with our team and let me know when and what time. What is your preferred time, by the way?
Weekdays, evening sounds fine to me. This time is good. 9:30 is good for me.
I have recently started a morning batch,
Oh, okay.
like 2 days ago. Only 2 classes completed, like 6:15 Eastern time.
6:15 Eastern time is Central time. 7:15.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
7:15 to 8:15.
Oh,
If
okay.
because you may have one more student in that. I just want to, just wanted to inform you. Thought of, if you have, because it's your wish, your convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have student, more questions will come, more
More discussion.
more discussion, more interactions.
Yeah, more interaction, definitely. So is there going to be some hands-on also?
Yes, you will get the server access and you
Oh,
will
okay.
be doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, that's what I said. Only 3 classes I'll go with this introduction.
Okay.
Once we step into the practical, you will always be hands-on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. You're welcome. Just
Bye.
I'll wait for your confirmation from the from Kelly team.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.